Hi everyone, this series will be about the vacuum former and then moving on to a thing we call the Gerbil, a little thing that cuts out your mould from the rest of your plastic sheeting. So I'm going to talk you through this first, but before that, get a little kitted out, just to protect my clothes, you know, keep it clean, keep it fresh. So first we have the platen. This is the platen lever. Now your platen, which is this that comes up with the lever, is where you put your moulds. Now moulds are anything you've made out of a solid thing. These are made out of wood, but they could be made out of other items like don't know, foam and things and such. But for a mould, a good mould has things called what we call draft angles. So draft angles are just slightly tapered edges, if you can see, and this allows after the plastic's been sucked around it for an easier release, generally speaking. We're going to try two moulds. You can also do a big one, but the more intricate the mould, the more problem solving you have to do. Sometimes you have to have holes drilled in to allow air to suck through and also helps with release. But that's another discussion for another day. So we have our moulds on your platen bed. Now this grid here helps with the airflow, and there's a hole there as well. You don't ever want to put your mould too close together if you've got more than one, because you get like a webbing appear. So you try not to have them interfering with each other. So you have them nicely spaced out and not too close to the edge. Once you're happy with that, platen lever lowers it down. Next you have the big clamp. Now you raise the clamp up, and these are your toggle clamps which bite onto the underneath here, really biting down, and on this edge you have a foam. And nothing really wants to interfere with this foam there, because it interferes with the seal. You know, it won't be as airtight, so then the vacuum won't work so well. Next you have your material of choice. We have two types down here. We have HIPS, which is high impact polystyrene. This is usually used for your final products. It's a lot more better quality. You have a matte side and you have a gloss side. And it's HIPS. Thermoplastic. So these are thermoplastics which react with heat and allow you to reshape it. This is PVC, so polyvinyl chloride. This is much cheaper and it heats up much quicker. But we're going to use this because this is what you would generally use for prototyping, to work through any problems with your mould. So we try it on this first. So you get that in place, making sure it covers the seal area. Bring the clamp down. Squeeze the clamps tight and make sure they are tight. There's a little screw caps here to make it even more firm and secure. Once that's in place and you're happy, you have the interface here, and generally we would preheat the heater, which I have done, and this is the heater under here, and then we would load up the setting. So I've got this timed for the longest it will do, and we're just going to run that. So you bring it closed, like so. And you never really want to leave this alone. You wouldn't just put this here and wander off, because you run the risk of completely melting your thermoplastic. And then it's just a waiting game. So here I would just pat a rhythm, think, nice thoughts. And what we are doing is we're waiting for the thermoplastic to soften up to a certain degree, to become more malleable. And when you're just right, because the key is not to go too early, because it won't be soft enough and it won't wrap around your mould well enough. You don't want to go too late, because if it's too late it'll start to really sag, and I've seen it in the past where it sags right down and then it's all this loose and you get all these creases in your finished mould. So it has to be chest right, and to check it's chest right is when you feel like every so often you want to check it, you give it a tap and see that's still really firm. So it's just being patient. So I'll quickly check it. As you can see, it's starting to soften nicely. It needs a bit more. Now when you go to touch that thermoplastic when it's heating, it will be hot to touch, but not that dangerous. You just tap it gently, and you want to feel if there's a looseness. Very ready. Now when you feel like it's nearly ready, you have a little button on here which says start vacuum. Now when you put the heater back, you draw the platen lever down, bring the platen bed up. Once the mould and the bed comes up into your plastic sheet, you press start vacuum. And it draws it all nice and down. As all the air gets sucked out of this chamber. So you can see it's starting to sag a bit. It's a nice bounce to it, indicating that it's got its it's become nice and malleable. Okay, that's pretty much ready. We come back, draw the bed up, start vacuum down, like so. Then I'll leave it there for a little bit just to cool. Then you stop vacuum. Then there's a release button. Now release just blasts a little bit of air back into this just to help take away the suction. Then we finish. Here the air, release it, like so, and voila, you have your moulds. Pop them out, you've got a nice little cloud shape. You can even see the scuffs in the wood, that's how detailed it is. A wedge shape. And there we have it. Pretty cool, huh? Then you would go over to the gerbil. And here we have the gerbil. Now this is a machine which conveniently cuts your mould off of the spare excess with this little disc. Now this little disc is an actual cutting tool. I'm bringing you in closer. Now this cutting tool can be raised up and down with a little handle under here. Now you turn this handle and it will bring the disc up and down. So we want it quite high, so bring that disc up like so. See it coming out. There we go. Now this can be sharp. So before you use this machine, you have to be trained. And you see the red and the green button. Obviously the green for go, red is for stop. Now what you have is your work would be safely on the bed. Your hands would never be where you're cutting. Never hold your work near where your disc is coming through. So you'll cut your fingers. So it's always at the top, you rotate through. Now you can cut this quite easily with scissors or a knife, but this gives precision and neatness. And that's what you want in DT. You want precision and you want neatness, because that leaves a good product. You know? Good quality making. That's what we aim for. So I'm just going to get my goggles on. You might get some bits of plastic floating around. I'm just going to get my dust mask on. Get you closer. You can see the action. You see? Now turn it on. Now this is quite convenient because it's see-through, so you can see everything happening. You see the blade slowly comes through. Little after. Come on. Like so. Now, this plastic, the PVC, the polyvinyl chloride, is very, very hard on this machine because it is so soft. Whereas the hips, the high impact polystyrene, it cuts a lot better because it's obviously firmer. But you get the idea. You get a cut that is roughly the same height all the way around. Whereas if you were to use a knife, you'd end up having wobbles and such. But yeah, that is your gerbil. Thank you for tuning in. Hope you have a good day. All the best. See you soon.